Start in a meditation seat, breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Move into wrist stretches. Begin by massaging the right palm, and then start with the pinky finger, flexing the finger back. Press the left thumb into the back knuckle of the finger that you're stretching. And focus on spreading the right thumb away from the right pinky finger to spread the palm. As you're here, reach the knees apart, lift the chest up, and float the skull away from the pelvis. To stretch the thumb, place the hands back to back, hold on to the top thumb, and stretch out the meaty portion of the thumb and wrist. Shake the hand out, and then switch sides. Move into finger stretches, starting with the pinky finger. Dedicate a single breath, an inhale and an exhale, for each finger that you stretch. And focus on the spreading of the left palm. When you finish with 4 fingers, stretch the thumb by placing the hands back to back and opening the space of the left thumb. Shake the hands out. Place the hands on the floor with a similar setup as you would for hands to crow, and lean forward, crushing fingers into the ground. Reach the knees apart as you lift the hips up off of the block. And then cross the legs and begin to massage the foot this time. You can use the thumbs, you can flex the toes, and you can use the right elbow and the weight of the body to open up plantar fascia of the foot. Switch sides. You can massage with the thumbs, or move into making small rotations with the elbow, pressing the elbow into the tighter parts of the foot. Straighten the left leg out, bend the right knee in, and set up for spinal twists. If I want a deeper twist, I'll simply slide my right hand to the right. And while you can't see it, my right hand, I'm up on the tripod of my index finger, my middle finger, and my thumb. Now as you twist and untwist, match the breath and press the knees apart at the peak of the twist. For the second variation, place the left elbow over the right thigh and begin twisting and untwisting. To activate the back of the left shoulder, place the left forearm parallel to the ground and feel elbow press into the thigh. For the third version, hands set up like crow, lean chest forward down to the ground and float the right foot off of the ground, twisting and untwisting, matching inhales and exhales. Switch sides. So as I set up the feet, set up the arms, I'm twisting, and at the peak of the twist, it's very important to reach the knees apart. Knees reach in opposite directions, and I can even drag the right heel down and to the right to activate my right glute. Set up for the second portion of the variation. Right elbow over left thigh. My right forearm is parallel with the ground, and as I twist, I can press the arm into the leg back into the arm. Provided I don't have any blood pressure issues, heart issues, I might inhale and twist, exhale and release. You'll notice as you lean the chest forward for the third variation, the right hip will lift off of the ground. See if you can lift the left foot off of the ground as you twist and untwist. Straighten the legs out into Dandasana. Press the fingertips into the ground and lift the chest up. Cross the right ankle over the left And it's very important here to reach the heels apart. So I'm activating the legs for maybe a count of 3 or 4, and then I'm going to relax the legs, and then reach the heels out and relax the legs. Each time I reach the heels apart, notice the activation of the fan of the outer hip. And this will allow you to lengthen the front side of the body. Switch legs. And on this side, as you reach heels apart, lift the chest up and begin to twist the chest, the barrel of the chest, left and right, just to test that the gut is relaxed, the belly is extended. Continue to take deep, mindful breaths. Now cross the legs into Sukhasana. Place blocks at hips. One variation here is to press down to the blocks, lift the hips up, keeping the legs on the ground. Maybe you kickstand and leave one foot on the ground. Or lift everything up off of the ground as you press down. I'm going to be moving into Padmasana, and it's actually unadvisable unless you can close the outer ankle around the thighs. Now I press and I lift. In total, we'll complete 50 presses. My guidance for you is to complete as many presses as you can, creating high quality actions. If that's 30 for you, record that and build from there. Continue to lift the chest up, lengthening the front line of the body. This will ensure that you don't clamp down in the belly. In terms of energetics, it's very important that you keep the belly extended and long. When you do that, you decompress the spine, and then you can build raw strength in arms and legs. Now, for the second version of core work, you can use blocks under the hands. For variation 1, slide a block tallest distance under the left knee. You'll notice when I lift up, I lift the foot, I lift the hips, and then I'm twisting my pelvis slightly left as I reach the right heel forward. For the second version, I'm placing a block in front as motivation for my right foot. Slide the left tricep under the kneecap and then place both hands down. And as we press down and lift up, we're twisting. And I'm completing 15 repetitions per side. Switch sides and pick the variation that works for you. Maybe you slide the block underneath the knee, or place blocks down, bring the tricep underneath the leg, and you can hug the leg into the arm and then begin lifting. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Lift the front foot up. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then come to hands and knees. Shake the hands out. Move the blocks aside and stretch the wrists by placing the fingers facing the knees and sitting the hips toward the heels, rocking side to side. And then set up for wrist push-ups. You're going to place the thumbs, the pinky fingers, and the index knuckle onto the edge of the block so that when you lower wrists down, the wrists will lower below the blocks. Keep the elbows straight. In total, complete 20 wrist push-ups. one of the habits I notice for a lot of students here is that they will bend and straighten the elbows, and then the force gets transferred into triceps. We want to keep the energy of this into the forearms to develop the forearms. Shake the hands out and come back into that wrist stretch. Place the hands up and reach the hands and arms wide. Bend the elbows and start to spin the elbows forward. Reach the elbows forward and then reach the elbows diagonally down and away from the shoulders, activating a muscle called serratus anterior. Place the hands forward and then make fists. Wrap the thumbs around the fists, flex the wrists toward the forearms, turn the fists out to energize the forearms. And then release that. Start all over again. Repeat. Elbows down, elbows forward. The bottom tip of the shoulder blade comes forward as you reach elbows away from shoulders. And then place the palms face up. Make fists. Flex the fists toward the wrists. And then turn the hands down, turn the wrists out. And this is an intense contraction in the forearm. Shake that out. Grip the front edge of the mat, placing the forearms down on the mat like number 11s. And from here, start to energetically reach the wrists and the fists apart, like you're tearing the mat in two. Breathe as you do this, and feel for the activation of the outer deltoid, the outer shoulder. Release the mat. Come to knees and start swinging the arms forward and back. Let the hands and the fingertips be relaxed. And you can focus on a subtle exhale out of the mouth on the downswing of the arms. Downward facing dog. Reach hips up away from wrists. Hips away from heels, and begin walking your feet forward into a forward fold. Walk your feet off of the edges of the mat. Hold onto your heels and begin to sway the hips generously side to side. This can be tremendously healing for the low back, provided you keep the belly long, abdomen extended. Shift weight back into the heels as you step the feet back onto the mat. Now set blocks aside for now. This will be for the second portion of this exercise. Shift weight into the right foot. As you shift weight into the right foot, hold the right hand on right heel. And begin to shift weight back into the right heel. Lift left knee up. And then bring the left knee to the left tricep. And touch the arm if you can by the armpit. Extend the leg left. Lift the foot up. And then lower. Hover the foot. Lift up. 1, 2, shift weight back into right heel. 3, 4, extend the belly. 5, 6, 7, 8. Take your blocks. And now lift the left knee up again. This time, bend the right knee deeply. Keep the bend in the knee as you walk your blocks to the left side of your mat. And then lift the left knee up. Extend the left leg long behind you. And then lower the leg. Hover the foot and lift up. 1, 2, shift weight back into right heel. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Come back to center. Place the feet down. Hands on thighs. Press the thighs to stand up, and then just shake the legs out. Come back into your forward fold. Second side. Shift the weight into the left heel. Left hand holds left heel and lift the right knee up. Tick-tock the right knee over to touch the right arm And then extend the right leg. Right heel reaches away from right hip. Lower and lift. 1, 2, shift weight back into left heel. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Place both feet down. Take your blocks. Shift weight back into left heel. Lift the right knee up, and then begin to walk the blocks to the right side of the mat. Again, focus on bending the left knee, shifting weight back into heel, and then lower and lift. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Place both feet flat. Hands on thighs. Press down to stand up. Shake the legs out. Walk your feet together and move into Utkatasana. So as you lower, shift weight back into the heels, reach heels apart, and the hips may lower down to the heels. Lift back up slowly, reaching heels apart, and then sit down halfway into Utkatasana. Shift weight back, fold forward, exhale. Halfway lift, inhale. Step back, plank. And then shoulder taps. Alternating, switching weight left and right. And in total, complete 20 shoulder taps. Depending on your level, where you are today, maybe that's less. Maybe that's more. Customize this to match your ability. Downward facing dog. Plank. As you move to plank, shift your weight forward, shoulders stack over wrists, and begin plank push-ups. You're going to lower down with one elbow and then the opposite elbow, and then lift up, alternating the elbow that lowers each time. In total, complete 6 plank push-ups. To modify, you might lower the knees down. To intensify, you might lift a foot just a few inches off of the ground. When you complete 3, then switch feet. Downward facing dog. Now for our first peek in this first practice, we're going to move into forearm stand with feet on blocks. Notice that the blocks are set up tallest distance, flush with the outside edges of the mat. To measure the elbows, place thumbs in elbows, hands interlace, close the palms, press the palms together, press the wrists and forearms down as you lift the hips up. Now you may need to adjust your elbows forward or back depending on where your feet place on the blocks. Another variation is to keep your feet flat on the floor. Build strength there. Or step up onto the blocks, extend the legs. Note that the head is floating up off of the ground. So you might turn your head side to side, shake your head yes or no to ensure the neck is decompressing. Lift the hips up, straighten the legs. Deep, intentional breaths here. And then come down. Swing the arms. Focusing on a breath out of the mouth as the arms swing down. Setting up for our version of extended side angle. There's 2 phases of this. In the first phase, place your left knee on a block and step your right foot forward on the right side of the mat. Close the right armpit on top of the right kneecap and crisscross the front arm on the front shin. Left hand on left hip. Turn the belly up and release the belly down. Maybe doing 3 to 5 of these rotations, focusing on deep breaths each rotation. And for the full version, step the left foot back into the very left edge of the mat. Look around the corner to the right. See if you can see the outer right ankle. Maybe you lift your right hand. From here, press down through right heel. Lift the right foot, including the ball of the foot. And then 3, 2, 1, press up. Switch sides. Slide the block over to the opposite side of the mat. Knee down on block, step the left foot forward on the left edge of the mat, and set your arm up. The intention of the arm set up over the leg like this is to activate the underside of the shoulder. Begin twisting and untwisting, matching the breath. Maybe you twist up and inhale. Maybe you twist up and exhale. And then move into the full version. Step the right foot back. Begin to look around the corner. Can you see the outer knob of the ankle? Lift the left hand and bear the arm down into the leg. Turn the face up, turn the belly up. Lift the foot, and from here, 3, 2, 1, lift up, press. Shake the legs out. Move into a kneeling position and place the block on top of the thighs. Hug the block with the elbows. Lift the block. As you're here, float the head away from the pelvis and the heart up away from the pelvis. Bear down into the block with the elbows. Squeeze and reach the wrists apart in opposite directions. And little by little begin floating the block higher. Squeeze the block a little more and relax the face. Relax the hinge of the jaw. Take a deep breath in. And on the exhale, reach the wrists apart. And you can experiment floating the block up a little bit higher, continuing to float the wrists apart. Release the block. Moving into our second version, our second peak, down dog on the wall. You'll notice that my foot is flat against the wall and I'm in a shortened down dog. From here, step one foot to the wall, straighten that leg, and then step the opposite foot to the wall. To make this a little bit easier, I might walk my feet higher on the wall. From here, lift one foot, and then come up to the tippy toes of the right foot that's on the wall, and reach the left heel energetically into the center of the room. Relax the head and neck. Switch sides. Press through the hands. Straight arms are strong arms. Extend the legs away from the hips. Flex the toes, and then lower down. Make your way back to meditation seat. From here, notice how easy the knees can float away from one another. And as knees float away, feel the center of the chest get more buoyant. The skull start to float away from the pelvis. And lean the back of the skull back another inch or inch and a half. Moving into half horseshoe. For this version of half horseshoe, flex the right toes, turn the right pinky toe down, and hold the right hand on the inner arch of the right foot. You'll notice as I twist, open and closed. From here, the right arm can bear down into the front of the shin. Once again, I get an activation of the muscles on the underside of the shoulder to protect the shoulder. For the second version of this pose, slide the block underneath the left knee. An important point here is that the left kneecap floats and hangs just in front of the block. Right toes turn out, right elbow down. My left hand serves like a push-up. I'm twisting open and focusing on straightening the left arm. And from here, I'm twisting and untwisting, keeping the belly long. Another version is to walk your hands out to a down dog arrangement, and I can shift my weight left and right, opening up tighter connective tissue in the pelvis. Now, as an intermission, walk your feet to the wall. Your feet could stay on the ground or plank on the wall. Press the heels through the wall, press the hands through the ground, and let the belly extend and get longer. Continue to take deep breaths, pressing through the heels, and lift the toes if you can. Come on down. And then switch sides. Half horseshoe on the left side. Extend the left leg with a slight bend in the left knee. Flex left toes back. And hold the left hand almost as though you're holding onto a chin-up bar. You're pulling on the foot, pressing the foot away from the left hand. And begin twisting open and closed. Deep breaths each time. Now I might bring my forehead down to the ground, and it's actually not necessary. I want to focus mostly on lengthening from pubic bone through to my sternum, keeping the front lines of the body long and supple. Move into the second version. Adjust the block so you can place the kneecap just in front of the block. Turn the left toes out. Left elbow down. And begin twisting and untwisting. Move back into plank on the wall. Now in this version, you could also adjust the intensity by walking the hands farther forward or stacking the wrists under the shoulders. And then come down. Face the wall standing, shift weight into heels and begin arm swings again. Moving into our next peak, you'll notice that each section progresses. My fingertips are on the wall, and I'm going to hop my feet to the wall. What's critical here is to keep the legs together, flex the toes, and begin wrapping the triceps toward one another. It's this wrapping action that sticks you to the wall here. If you're a beginner, or you're just starting out in your practice, you may want to move the fingertips an inch away from the wall instead of being flush with the wall. Come down and move right back into arm swings. And then move right back into your peak 3. Handstand on the wall. You can consider that this is Tadasana upside down. So bring the feet together, energize the legs by reaching up through the inner lines of the legs. Press the hands down and wrap the arms, most importantly. If you find you're doing a banana back here and your back is moving away from the wall, see if you can bring your low back closer to or touching the wall. And then lower down. Once again, arm swings. Soften the hands and shift weight back into heels. Now set up your meditation seat. Meditation seat can be a good reference point for how the practice is working. Now in this version, you're interlacing the hands at the low back and pressing the elbows down and diagonally away from one another. And I'm going to press the elbows down pretty intensely for about 3 seconds and then soften. And then I'll repeat. And you notice I'm turning my head left and right. And the intent here is both to reintegrate the shoulders onto the back and to ensure that the muscles of the neck, the smaller muscles up near the neck and the throat, are soft. Finally, to run energy, lift the right arm up. Extend the right arm out from right shoulder. And then lift the left arm. At the same time, turn the heart away from the left arm and reach the left arm. Another option is to bend the wrist and begin coiling the left hand. I'm also turning the head away to feel the energetic lines down the face, down the arm, all the way through the wrist and fingers. Straighten the legs out into Dandasana. And now that we have much more energy running through the arms, we're going to come back to presses in Dandasana. Your feet might be down the whole time. Focus on extending and lifting the chest. Another version is to then lift the hips up, shift the hips forward, and kick the heels to the hips. You can continue with this version. Or press down, lift hips, and lift feet up. Be mindful not to collapse in the chest. Keep the chest lifted. And in this version, continue until fatigue. Lie down on the back and slide blocks underneath the low back. Shift the hips over to the left and then extend the legs long to sky. From here, right elbow becomes your base. Shift your feet all the way over to the right. Now, if you find that you're tipping off of the block, you might have to adjust your hips onto the block. Right hand holds left thigh. Left arm extends out. And then I can be twisting and untwisting with the breath. And as I twist my heart to the left, I can press down through the right elbow. Keep the lines of the legs long. Press right elbow down and lift the legs up using abdominals, obliques. Shift, second side. Extend the legs up. Reach heels away from hips. Use your left elbow as an anchor and move slowly as you go down. And again, you might have to adjust the hips. So make sure you're on the center of the block. Feet on the ground, left hand on right thigh. And begin twisting and untwisting, using these cyclical movements to open up the spine and begin generating long lines of action as the heels reach away from the hips and the head and the heart float up and away from the hips. To come back, left elbow presses down, slowly lift the feet up and shift hips to center. Come into happy baby with hips on blocks and begin to rock knees side to side, hips side to side, and get a massage for the low back. Press your hips down and then lift the hips up. Rooting heels into ground. And now from here, lift the left hip up higher than the right hip. So I'm lifting my right hip actually in this side. So right hip comes up, right knee reaches forward, and then we switch. Lift the left hip up. And as you lift left hip up, reach the left knee away from left hip. And you may feel the activation of the glute on the left side. Switch. Right hip lifts higher than left hip, so the hips are slightly tilted. Reach right knee away from left hip. And then use the breath. Lift left hip up higher than right hip. And float the left knee forward away from hip. Place both hips level. Lift both hips up and reach the arms above the head. Extend the heart up and away from the hips as you reach both knees away from hips. And then lower down slowly. Walk the feet wide and windshield wiper the knees. Left knee to right ankle, right knee to left ankle, opening up space in the SI joint, in the low back, in the hip. Move back to a seat. Now for this version of extended, it's a Pavrita Janu Shirshasana. I'm going to hook the outer blade edge of my right foot with my wrist. You'll notice that the fingers are extended and relaxed. My arm can bear down into the leg. Left hand is on left hip. And I'm rotating open and relaxing the belly down. Now as you're here, you rotate open. You might move the block aside and sit down. Reach the knees apart as you twist open. Extend the right heel away from right hip. And you'll notice it's contained by the right wrist. Now the next version, you can bring the elbow on the inside of the shin and press the knuckle of the index finger onto the ball of the foot, twisting open and relaxing out of the twist. Another version is to bring the left hand over and hold on to the outer edge as I twist, and I can look through the window of my arms, twisting left lung up over right lung and relaxing out of the twist. Yeah, be mindful here that as you twist the heart up and open, the peak of the twist, the knees reach in opposite directions, the belly gets long. And then switch sides. You might start seated on a block. Toes flex to ceiling. Hook the wrist around the outer blade edge of the foot. Bear down the arm into the shin. Right hand to hip. Begin twisting open and untwisting. And depending on how loose or tight the connective tissue is in the hips, you might move slower. You might move faster. There's no particular number here. Get interested in the sensation of the twisting and untwisting, of the way the breath permeates the body. Incrementally, you might straighten the left leg. The left knee might be lifted off of the mat, or maybe the leg is extended completely straight. For the next version, place the ball of the left foot and ball of index hand, index finger down. As I press the ball of my left foot into the ball of index finger, you'll notice that bicep on the left side activates. You might place the right hand over and hold the outer blade edge of the foot, twisting open, reaching knees apart, and untwisting. I also have the grounding of my left elbow to assist with the twist. Now move into full horseshoe. Wrap the wrists around both outer blade edges of feet, and you'll notice that I'm rocking side to side, maybe twisting a little bit, keeping the tissue of the low back open and supple. And at the same time, rather than rounding the back here, what I want to do is try to keep the belly long and extended. From here, a next progression is to bring the heels together, hold the wrists in front of the heels, and begin wiggling side to side and shimmying one heel forward and then the other heel forward, and then one heel forward and then the other heel forward, extending out as much as possible. Eventually the legs might straighten, and I'm doing a little Ardha Uttanasana action to lift the heart, to lengthen the front line of the belly, and then fold forward and pull the wrists onto the feet as I lean forward. Reach the heels away from the hips and the hips away from the heels. And it's key here to keep extending the belly long. Slowly release out of that. And we have two versions of Shavasana, just to bring the energy down. So in one version, I'm going to set the block up medium height for my head, and then flat and long for my spine. I'm going to lie down on the blocks. The length of the mid block matches the length of my spine, and my head can rest on the block under my head. Arms long, legs long. Move into a relaxed position and begin to transition the breath into a softer, more supple breath. Notice the energy in the body. You can stay here as long as you want, or you might move into full Shavasana. Moving the blocks aside, lie down on the mat, widen the feet. Draw both knees into chest, and then begin rocking. Reach the tailbone down to the ground, and then take a gentle twist with knees into chest. And in this version, we won't be doing the cyclical action. Just relax into the pose. With every exhale, melt the right shoulder blade closer to the ground, maybe touching the ground. Lift the right knee up, then the left knee, and switch sides, rocking side to side in between to massage out the lower back. Bring the knees to the right. Right hand on left thigh, left arm extends out with the left palm facing up. Use every single breath to relax into this pose. And then come back to center. Move into Shavasana. As you're in Shavasana, notice first the weight of the bones, the softness of the tissues, and you can stay as long as you like.